Welcome to the final night of the CTFL entry draft presented by the Canadian Running Magazine. We're excited to have you guys all here tonight with us for rounds 23 to 32. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Canadian Running Magazine, and I'd also like to plug the fact that we are creating a GoFundMe account to help pay for the CTFL, and it's kind of new innovative ideas that we're going to be bringing to the table this year. So I'm going to leave that description in the bio, and please look at it and help support the CTFL. So with that, I'd like to start off the draft.
It looks like you lost enough.
In round 23, the Arctics will select Ryan Evans in the men's shot put.
With the 90th pick, the Bears select Jordan Williams in the women's 100 meters.
For the 91st pick, the Spitfires select Timothy Brennan, competing in the men's utility 400-meter hurdles.
With the 23rd pick, the Huskies select Andrew Peveril in the men's utility 1500 meters. It looks like you lost enough. With the 24th pick, the Huskies select Norris Spike in the men's utility 100 meters.
For the 94th pick, the Spitfires select the 2022 U Sports 600-meter champion Marcus Nandlall. He'll be competing in the 400-meter hurdles.
With the 95th pick, the Bears select Doyen Uganremi in the women's 200 meters.
In round 24, the Arctics will select Olivia Dodds in the women's 800.
It looks like you lost enough.
In round 25, the Arctics will select Kimora Harris in the women's 100.
With the 98th pick, the Bears select Brianna Asayama in the women's shot put.
For the 99th pick, the Spitfires select Marky Dickinson, competing in the men's 800.
With the 25th pick, the Huskies select Joseph William Pittman in men's shot put. It looks like you lost enough. With the 26th pick, the Huskies select Xavier Jones, the men's 100.
For the 102nd pick, the Spitfires select Tommy Alfred, competing in the men's 400.
With the 103rd pick, the Bears select Lauren Perkins in the women's 1500 meters.
In round 26, the Arctics will select Ryan Higardi in the men's 400-meter hurdles.
It looks like you lost another one.
In round 27, the Arctics will select William McBride in the men's 800.
With the 106th pick, the Bears select F.A. Latham in the women's shot put.
For the 107th pick, the Spitfires select Ashley McGuire of Bradley University, competing in the women's 1500.
With the 27th pick, the Huskies select Brent Stephen in the men's 400 meters. It looks like you lost enough. The 28th pick, the Huskies select Ryan McClelland, men's utility 400 meters.
For the 110th pick, the Spitfires select Marin Shields Brown for the women's 800.
With the 111th pick, the Bears are proud to announce that we have selected the 400-meter runner David Malongu.
In round 28, the Arctics will select Saj El Haddad in the men's 400-meter hurdles.
It looks like you lost enough.
In round 29, the Arctics will select Kenneth West in the men's long jump.
With the 114th pick, the Bears select Brandon Martineau in the men's long jump.
For the 115th pick, the Spitfires select Kajeen Jackson Jr., competing in the men's 100-meter dash.
With the 29th pick, the Huskies select Saif Gabara, men's 200 meters. With the 30th pick, the Huskies select Adria Prop, women's utility 400-meter hurdles.
For the 118th pick, the Spitfires select Dylan Belanger, competing in the men's 400-meter hurdles.
With the 119th pick, the Bears select Carly Moore in the women's utility 400-meter hurdles.
In round 30, the Arctics will select Skeets Green in the men's long jump. In round 31, the Arctics will select Kevin Adeli in the men's 400-meter hurdles.
With the 122nd pick, the Bears select Raiden Gabriel Black in the women's 400-meter hurdles.
For the 123rd pick, the Spitfires select Emile Turcotte, competing in the men's 800 meter.
With the 31st pick, the Huskies select Vienna Courteau in women's long jump. With the 32nd pick, the Huskies select Christina Vinchik in the women's 100 meters.
For the 126th pick, the Spitfires select Brandon Letts, competing in the men's 100-meter dash.
With the 127th pick, the Bears select Nick Trieu in the men's 800 meters.
In round 32, last but not least, the Arctics will select Erica Fielder in the women's shot put. I look forward to seeing all our Arctics athletes compete. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That concludes the CTFL's first ever entry draft presented by the Canadian Running Magazine. I'd like to thank everybody who has watched the videos and supported the athletes. Also, those who have subscribed, that's also a really big help, so thank you again. I'd also like to congratulate the athletes themselves who have been drafted. You are among the best in Canada, and that really shows throughout this drafting process. Those who have went undrafted, you will remain as reserves just in case anybody gets hurt throughout the season, so you can compete still in the CTFL. If not, there's always next year. I'd also like to thank everyone who has supported the CTFL both financially and also even just through reposting everyone's posts. It goes a really long way into creating an atmosphere and a place for the CTFL to grow. If you guys haven't seen them, we do have a couple projects that are coming out. So the CTFL Gives Back program will be released in the next coming days, as well as the Meter by Meter, which is the videography series that will follow the athletes throughout their season, as well as the teams, and give you a more behind the scenes look into what goes into the CTFL. I would also like to plug the fact that we have our first meet in May, so that'll be on May 21st in Montreal, followed by May 29th in London, and then Ottawa on June 15th, and then the championship, which is where everything will culminate on July 20th. So thank you guys for watching the CTFL draft video, and I look forward to seeing you guys at the meets and watching the YouTube videos. So yeah, have a nice night.